Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today we are recording the part 3 of interview prep series. In the last two parts we dealt with some of the very important React questions, and this is the part 3 of this series where we will be dealing furthermore very important questions for React which are generally asked in the interviews. So the first question here is, explain the purpose of React context and when it's beneficial to use it. You can pause the video for a minute, think about the answer, and write down in the comment what is the answer. Then let us move on to the answer now. So React context provides a way to pass data through the component tree without having to pass props manually at every level. It's beneficial in scenarios where data needs to be accessible by many components at different nesting levels. For instance, it's useful for providing themes, language preference, or authentication tokens to multiple components without explicitly passing them through props at each level. So what does this definition say about? It says that React context, you might have heard of a concept called as prop drilling. So what happens when you want to pass, we have a multiple components, one component nested into another component, third component nested into the second component, then the fourth, and so on. So if we have multiple nesting stages and we have to pass the data to the end level, it becomes difficulty because we have to pass the data through each and every component manually at every level. So this doesn't work sometimes because if we have to update anything, so it will be very difficult for us. So here, yet context provides us a way by which we can remove this different nesting levels. We can directly pass the data from to the element to the component that we want to the data to be accessed. So what are the different examples of React context? They are like you might have heard about the theme context, language preference like Hindi, English, or whatever language the it has to use, and mostly it is used in authentications to keep the user authenticated. Now coming on to the next question, explain the purpose of usage of React fragments. You can pause the video and think about the answer. Do write down in the comment what is the answer. Let us move on to the answer now. So React fragments allows grouping element together without introducing unnecessary nodes in the DOM. They are particularly useful when a component needs to return multiple elements without a parent wrapper. Fragments help to avoid the creation of extra nodes in DOM hierarchy, aiding in clear or more organized JSX syntax. So what does this means? It means like every React component that we return, it is wrapped inside a wrapper. So we have to group all the elements together so that uh, we for grouping we provide a wrapper. But here, if we do not want to provide a wrapper, we do not want to create unnecessary nodes, we use React fragments. So what are they? Just like empty codes, so empty text, you can say that, and they are useful because you can pass multiple elements inside it without a parent wrapper. They help us to avoid the extra nodes, and therefore our code looks more cleaner and more organized. Coming to the next question, discuss the differences between functional components and class components in React. You can pause the video now and think about the answer. So the answer is functional components. These are the JavaScript functions that accept props as input and return React elements. They're simpler, more concise, and rely on hooks to manage state and lifecycle related functionalities. With the introduction of hooks in React, function components gain full access to React features. Class components, on the other hand, these are ES6 classes that extend to React.component. They have a built-in state, access to lifecycle methods, and were traditionally used for complex state management and lifecycle control before the advent of hooks. So if we want to compare between the class component and the function component, the first thing that we can differentiate between the two is like It function component can accept a prop and return a React element. On the other hand, class component, they are extension of React.component. They extends React.components using ESX classes, and they are built in state. So what does here happen in function components? We use hooks, something called as hooks. These hooks allows us to have manage the state and perform life cycle related functionalities. While on the other hand, in the class it is inbuilt and we can directly access the lifecycle methods. So some of the examples here in the function components you can give of hooks like use state, use ref, and use effect. Now coming on to the next question, explain the concept of reconciliation in React Virtual DOM. You can pause the video, think about the answer, and write down in the comment what is the correct answer. Now let us move on to the answer. Reconciliation in React refers to the process of comparing the current state of the virtual DOM with the previous one and determining the minimal number of changes required to update the actual DOM. React diffing algorithm identifies changes between components' previous and the current states, optimizing the updating process by minimizing DOM manipulation and thus enhancing performance. It means, so if we have to summarize reconciliation, what it is, so we can just say, like, you might have heard about the term called as VDOM. That is a virtual DOM. So what happens when you make changes in the actual UI? So this reconciliation is the process that will be triggered. So it will compare the new changes with the previous changes in the DOM, VDOM, and it will see what are the minimal number of changes that are required to update the DOM. In this way, it can minimize the number of DOM manipulation and thus enhance performance for faster outputs. Now, this next question and the last question for today's video is explain the concept of memoization and how it's relevant in React performance optimization. You can pause the video for a minute and think about the answer. Please don't forget to write down in the comment what is your correct answer. Let us move on to the answer. Memoization is a technique used to optimize performance by caching the result of expensive function calls and returning the cached result when the same inputs occur again. In React, the use memo hook is often employed for memoization. It is beneficial in scenarios where a computation within a component is a resource intensive or where the repeated computation need optimization. By memoizing values, React can avoid unnecessary recalculation, improving component performance. So if we go by the definition, we can say it's like a caching technique. So what does it do? Like memoization helps to memorize the things, memorize all these things, what has changed and what when. So when you just provide an input or whenever you just change something, it will be cached. So when you try to do the same thing, memoization will call and it won't update. So use memo is a hook that is often employed for memoization because this is a resource intensive but where repeated things are done again and again. So it is highly beneficial in those scenarios. So it does not allow in unnecessary or infinite recalculations and thus it improves performance a lot. So I hope you like this video. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel. If you're liking my videos, please do let me know in the comment section so that I can start make more kinds of videos in the same fashion. Thank you everyone.